Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, it's so good to be back at the temple. And let's start with Jai Radha Madhava. Jai Radha Madhava, Jai Kunja Bihari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, Jai Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Bihari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jai Radha Radhanath Radha, Radhanath Radhe, Jai Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Jai Giri Govardhan, Jai Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna devotees. So today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 6, Text 49. So, Bhavamstapumsham Paramashamayaya. Bhavamstapumsha Paramashamayaya. Duranta Yashaprista Mita Samastadrik. Duranta Prista Mati Samastadrik. Taya Hata Mashu Anukama Chetashu. Anugraham Kartam Iharhasi Prabho. Bhavamstapam Sham Paramashamayaya. Durantayasya Prista Mati Samasadrik. Taya Hatatmanashu Anukarma Chetasu. Anugraham Kartam Irhasi Prabho. Bhavamstapam Sham Paramashamayaya. Durantasya Prista Mati Samasadrik. Taya Hata Mashu Anukarma Chetasu. Anugraham Kartam Irhasi Prabho. Can say. Bhavamstapam Sham Paramashamayaya. Durantasya Prista Mati Samasadrik. Taya Hatasmashu Karmam Shatiyatasu. Anugraham Kartam Iharasi Prabhu. Bhavamstapam Paramashamayaya. Durantayas Prista Samasadrik. Taya Hatasmashu Anugraham Kartam Iharasi Prabhu. Vamsapumsham Paramashamaya Durantayasha Pristamati Samasre Tayahatasmashu Anukarma Chetasu Graham Kartam Iharase Prabhu Vamsapumsham Paramashamaya Durantayash Pristasmati Samasre Tayahatatmashu Kanishkarmayashu Nugraham Kartam Iharasi Prabhu. Okay, let's do the word for word meeting. Bhavan, your lordship. Tu, but. Pumsha, of the person. Paramasya, the supreme. Mayaya, by the material energy. Durantaya, of great potency. Aprista, unaffected. Matihi, intelligence. Samastadrik, seer or knower of everything. Taya, by the same illusory energy. Hata atmashu, bewildered at heart. Anukarma, chetasu, whose hearts are attracted by fruitive activities. Anugraham, mercy. Karatam, to do. Iha, in this case. Arhasi, desire. Prabho, O Lord. So the translation goes as follows. My dear Lord, you are never bewildered by the formidable influence of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are omniscient and should be merciful and compassionate towards those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy and are very much attached to fruitive activities. You may repeat, my dear Lord, you are never bewildered by the formidable influence of the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, you are omniscient and should be merciful and compassionate towards those who are bewildered by the same illusory energy and are very much attached to fruitive activities. So the purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A Vaishnava is never bewildered by the influence of the external energy because he is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The Lord states in the Bhagavad Gita 7:14 as follows, Devi isa gunamaya mama maya durachaya mam eva prapajante mayam etam tarantite. My divine energy, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it. A Vaishnava should take care of those who are bewildered by this Maya instead of becoming angry with them, because without a Vaishnava's mercy, they have no way to get out of the clutches of Maya. Those who have been condemned by Maya are rescued by the mercy of devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhescha kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavinibhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like Dasi trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen, conditioned souls. Those who are under the influence of the illusory energy are attracted to fruitive activities, but a Vaishnava preacher attracts their hearts to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopeka Kanta Radhakanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Deve Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna devotees. So this is a very nice verse. Prabhupada is a little short, but we'll try to say something. So we see here that Lord Shiva is being described as a very merciful Vaishnava, and he's beyond the modes of material nature. So similarly, it is described in the purport by Srila Prabhupada that Vaishnavas are very merciful, and they are beyond the modes of material nature because they engage in the pure devotional service of the Lord, and therefore they are merciful to those devotees who, or to those people who are under the influence of the material energy and who are striving hard for fruitive results in the world. So we see here that Lord Shiva is not bewildered by the influence of the material energy. Rather, his consort Rangadevi is in charge of the material energy, and he is beyond the material energy, and therefore it is being stated here that he should be merciful to those people who are under the influence of the material energy. So we know that Rangadevi is the warden of this prison house, and she's meant to keep us bound here. So if Lord Shiva is somehow or the other merciful to the people of this material world, then we can get out of the clutches of this material energy, right? And so we see that Lord Shiva is basically sitting in meditation, and he is in his hand, he's got the Japamala, and he's meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? He's chanting the holy names of the Lord, and he is meditating on the Personality of Godhead. And when his worshippers come to him and they beg for some material amenities, he just freely he just gives it, because he does not want to become disturbed by them. So he just said, take whatever you need, So he can go on chanting the holy names and not be disturbed by these materialists. So but we see the worshippers of Krishna on the other hand are different, because when the devotee goes to Krishna with some material aspiration, Krishna, he takes time to give it, and sometimes he doesn't even award that, because it all depends on your level of surrender, And if Krishna feels that, this thing, what you're asking, is going to bewilder you and entangle you more into the material world, then he may not give it to you. So, on the other hand, Lord Shiva, he says, just take whatever you need, right? So, and in this way, he can go on with his bhajan, with his sadhana. He doesn't want to be disturbed like that. So we as aspiring devotees should learn from the example of Lord Shiva and try to be fully absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord, in Krishna consciousness, in chanting the holy names like this. Sometimes we may fall by the wayside, and not be attentive to our rounds and to the practices of devotional service, regarding the 9 processes of devotional service. But nevertheless, we should try again and again to come back onto the path and to continue with our services. So in the Nectar of Devotion, the example of Narad Muni is given, where he was in the material world, as a 5-year-old boy. He was with his mum. And fortunately for them, the Bhaktivedantas came to reside under their shelter, and she was serving them. So Narad Muni got the opportunity to hear from the Bhaktivedantas, and in this way he's, by hearing from them, by chanting the glories of the holy names, by singing bhajans like this, and glorifying the Lord, he the modes of ignorance and passion were eliminated from his heart, and his heart was becoming purified by the association of these pure devotees, right? And then we see, like that, Narad Muni, in his next life, he became Narad Muni, right? Prior to that, he was just a young boy, right? And so similarly, we, from whichever background we are coming, right? We can take to the process with full heart and soul, and remember the Lord, chant His glories, and follow the 9 processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, like this. By doing all these activities, then our hearts can become cleansed, and we too can be eligible to go back to the spiritual world. We see that Prahlad Maharaj was in the womb of his mother, and Narad Muni very, mercifully went to his mother. She was living in the ashram of some sages, and he went there and he started to recite the glories of the Lord, and in that way, the child within the womb could hear whatever Narad Muni was saying, was talking, and was preaching, and his heart was becoming purified. So we see that's how he became Prahlad Maharaj when he came out of the womb, and he was totally absorbed in the glories of Krishna. That even that, when he went to school and he was asked to learn all the demoniac qualities from his teachers, but he preached to them instead, right? So in this way, he got his friends involved, and together they were chanting the holy names of Krishna and reciting the glories of Krishna. So, his father tried to kill him in so many ways because he was going against the instructions of his father, right? But we saw Nishingadev came to his rescue at the end. So we're not going to go into all that details now, but we know the story of Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu and Lord Nishingadev. Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Jai. So in this way, we can basically understand from these pastimes of the Srimad Bhagavatam how to engage in devotional service and become devotees of the Lord. Like this. So in the Bhagavad Gita, I just want to read something from the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita 4, text 10. I won't read the whole purport, but Prabhupada in that purport, he explains how one can come from the level of Shraddha, just having a little faith in Krishna, to the point of Bhava. So the verse goes as follows: Tvam eva viditvati mirchim eti nanya panta vidyate yanaya. One can attain perfect stage of liberation from birth and death by One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there are no other way to achieve this perfection. The Sveteshwara Upanishad 3.8 states that there is no alternative, that anyone who does not understand... Sorry, I'm reading the wrong verse. Sorry about that. I'm so sorry. So let's just go to text 10. Adho Shraddha tato sadhu sangha tata bhajana kriya tato arata nivritti syat tato nishtha ruchi sata ashakti tato bhavas tata prema bhyudandachi sadha kanam ayu prema padhyur bhava bhavat kramaha. In the beginning, one must have the preliminary desire for self-realization. This will bring one to the stage of trying to associate with persons who are spiritually elevated. In the next stage, one becomes initiated by an elevated spiritual master, and under his instructions, the neophyte devotee begins the process of devotional service. By execution of devotional service under the guidance of the spiritual master, one becomes free from all material attachments, attains steadiness in self-realization, and acquires a taste for hearing about the absolute personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This taste leads to further forward to attachment for Krishna, which is matured in bhava, or the preliminary stage of transcendental love of God. Real love of God is called prema, the highest perfectional stage of love, of life. In the prema stage, there is constant engagement in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So by the slow process of devotional service, under the influence of a bona fide spiritual master, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fear of one's individual spiritual personality, one can attain the highest stage, being freed from all material attachment, from the fear of one's individual spiritual personality, and from the frustration that results in void philosophy. Then one can ultimately attain the abode of the Supreme Lord. So here we see that this stage from Shraddha to Prem is being enunciated by Srila Prabhupada, and in this way, one first has Shraddha, little faith in Krishna, and then he starts to associate with devotees, and then he takes initiation in Bhajana Kriya, and then he goes to all the misgivings in the heart is eliminated, and he attains taste and attachment for the holy names. So like this, stage by stage, he develops bhava, and then it goes to prema, love of God. So we'll just say something now about this bhava and prema. His Holiness Dhanadhara Swami, in his books Waves of Devotion, calls this bhava, basically it's called pratibimba or chaya. So this is a reflection of the stage of love of God, right? And it is compared to dawn, at dawn, the sun is just rising, and you see the shimmer of the reflection of these rays, pinkish and orange color on the horizon. So this is compared to that bhav. It's just a reflection, right? And we see that a personality in the Bhagavatam was on the stage of bhav, and that was Bharat Maharaj. Right? Bharat Maharaj was on the stage of bhav, and in the stage of bhav, you don't have any attachment to family or to the things of this world. And he went to the forest to meditate, and he was practicing his devotional service and trying to meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then he saw this deer that, that was... it fell out of his mother's womb as she was trying to cross the river, and she was being chased by a lion. So, he's such a helpless deer, and he became compassionate. And then he took care of this deer. He started nursing this deer, right? And we see that like this, his attachment grew towards the deer. So although he wasn't on the bodily concept of life, given up family and relationships of this material world, and also to ask what are some of the things that people are most attached to in this material world? Children, yes. Family, yes. Anything else? Yeah. A home, yes. Their wealth, bank balance, right? So people are attached to these things. So when you come to devotional service, then you slowly become detached from these things. How? By using all these amenities that Krishna has provided you in the service of Krishna. So you make your home into a temple, in that you have an altar, maybe with frames or deities, and you offer your home to Krishna. You offer your whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer and give away. In this verses in the Bhagavad Gita, yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhusi, dasi, yat. So you can give all these things to Krishna, and your home becomes a temple. And in this way, by satisfying Krishna's senses and by giving up this attachment to all those things, because you know that everything in this material world belongs to Krishna, it doesn't belong to you, because you came here with nothing and you're going to go back with nothing, right? So in this way, we practice devotional service by giving everything back to Krishna. Whatever he has given us, whatever is in our possession, use it in the service of Krishna. This is called yukta vairagya. That whatever we attain by material nature's mercy, we can give it to Krishna. Use it in the service of Krishna. So in this way, we don't become attached to all these amenities that was given to us, right? So Bharat Maharaj, he left everything and he went to the forest to meditate. And there we see that one characteristics of bhav is that it softens the heart. It makes the heart soft, right? So we don't blame Bharat Maharaj for getting attached to this deer, or for taking care of this deer that was helpless, right? Because his heart was so soft. This is one of the characteristics. But he should have used his intelligence, to sort of when the deer could fend for itself, he should have let it go and went back to his meditational process. But he did not do that. Instead, he became so attached to this deer that at the end of his life, what was his thoughts on the deer, right? Because at the time of death, one will think of those things that he's very much attached to. And then in his next life, Bharat Maharaj became a deer. That is so sad, right? So we should learn from all these pastimes that we should not become too attached to all the things of this world. And because whatever we are most attached to, we're going to think of that at the time of death, and we are going to take to that birth. So, but Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that we should always remember him and, offer our homage unto him and worship him. And in this way, at the time of death, we can think of him and be transferred to the spiritual abode. Right? It's so easy, but it's very difficult to perform. It's easier said than done, most people say that. It's easier said than done. But we should practice. Only by practice can we make perfect. Right? By keep practicing, we can actually get there. So, after all, we are Kali Yuga specimens, right? We are in this material world, in this Kali Yuga, we're in the most degraded age, right? Trying to achieve the most highest thing, which is Krishna Prem. And it's going to take some time. It's not very easy. Some people, they think that devotees, devotees are practicing, are pure devotees, right? When once we take up to Krishna consciousness, we follow ISKCON, then we are on the level of, on a very high level. But we don't blame them, because when they read Srila Prabhupada's books and they see that what our standards are, right? And they basically cannot follow those standards. So they think that we are on a very high level. But no, we are all coming to Krishna with all the anarthas in our hearts, right? And ISKCON is like a hospital. The hospital cures you of your disease, right? And we are like in this hospital, and our condition is heart disease, right? Our heart is full of lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. So we are trying to get rid of all these things in the heart, right? And from time to time, Maya will test us and see how eligible we are to go back to the spiritual world. And she will try to cleanse our heart. And sometimes, Krishna will sort of humiliate us. If we have pride in our hearts, then he will humiliate us and bring us down from our high horse, right? Because we think that, we are up there. And sometimes devotees, they try to act like pure devotees, when they come to ISKCON, especially neophyte devotees, when they first come to Krishna, and they try to act like up there, like on Prabhupada's level. But actually, Krishna quickly brings you down, and he puts you through some situation where you will get so embarrassed like that. So Krishna teaches us humility. Trinadapi sunichena taroapi sahisnana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. That one should be more tolerant than a tree, and more humble than a blade of grass. So to actually be that, it's very, very difficult. So only by the practicing of Krishna consciousness and chanting the holy names of the Lord that will cleanse the heart. Right? Only Krishna's name will actually cleanse your heart from all these unwanted things: lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, envy. It will cleanse the heart of all of these things, and then we will be eligible to go back to the spiritual world. So we see that Lord Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavas, and he's setting a precedent for all devotees to follow. Vaishnavanam yata Shambho, that he is the greatest of Vaishnavas, right? And at the moment, we are at the lowest stages of devotional service. We are trying to actually come to the highest stages of devotional service by practicing of devotional service. But devotees, please do not despair, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. And just by continuing on this path, we can get there, right? So Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar of Devotion that there are two types of prema, right? One is called Mahatmya Gyan Prema, and the other one is called Kevalya Prema, right? So we'll just try to explain these two types of prema that one can attain and go back to the spiritual world, or that's there in the spiritual world. And we'll start with Mahatmya Gyan Prema. In his class on Nectar of Devotion, His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami says that the spiritual consideration of prema is there, but it actually reduces the intensity of love for God or for Krishna. And he says, although it is pure, but it has a spiritual consideration, and that is the intensity of love for God is reduced. And the residents of Vaikuntha, they worship the Lord with awe and reverence, right? So, my Lord, you are the servant, I am the master, and although they have the same bodily features of the Lord, but they understand, that I am the servant of Krishna, or I'm the servant of Narayan, basically, in Vaikuntha. So, Vaikuntha is still the spiritual world, but, but the intensity of the love there is a little reduced. So, then the other type of prema is called Kevalya prema. It is unmixed and unmotivated. Right? Then there's this verse in the Nectar of Devotion, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulyena Krishna Nushilanam Bhakti Uttama. That one should perform devotional service and not be allured by fruitive activities, Jnana Karma Anavritam, by knowledge, philosophical speculation. And one should be worship Krishna the way Krishna wants to be worshipped, right? And how does Krishna want to be worshipped? In the Bhagavad Gita, very easy. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, and a little water, I will accept it. So, in this way, we can worship Krishna with just these amenities that can be found anywhere, right? Leaf, fruit, water. We normally offer Krishna tulsi leaves, right? Vegetarian food, right? Fruit, water can be found anywhere. So we can offer this to Krishna, and in this way try to revive this lost love that we have in our hearts. I'm saying lost love because we all have the love of God within the heart, but now it is dormant within the heart. Why? Because we have fallen into this material nature, and we are covered with this material energy, this body. This body is a product of the material energy, and we are covered over. So just by chanting the holy names of the Lord, which is basically imported from the spiritual world, because this name of Krishna is so powerful and potent, when it comes down to this material world and it is chanted, then the heart becomes cleansed. So sometimes, as devotees, we take it for granted that, these holy names can actually purify the heart, but it does, because it penetrates the ears. The sound vibration penetrates the ear, and it goes into the heart, and in this way, it removes all the misgivings in the heart. So we should very nicely every day try to chant our 16 rounds of japa, right? One round, 108 beads are called one round. So we do 16 times 108. So that's quite some time. It takes like 2 hours, right, to actually complete 16 rounds. But we should dedicate this time to Krishna, because Krishna says, I am time, and I take away everything in this material world. Krishna, as a time factor, he reduces the lifespan of everyone with the rising and the setting of the sun. Every moment he is reducing our lifespan, right? So every moment we're coming closer to death. So in this way, we should use this time which is Krishna in the service of Krishna. And how do we do that? By chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll just explain some examples of devotees who are on the level of prema. And this we can see in the gopis of Vrindavan, right? They did everything for Krishna's pleasure, right? So they would forsake everything. When Krishna played his flute, they would forsake everything and they would run to Krishna. You know, not considering family, husband, children, nothing. They would run to Krishna because their minds were fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, in the consciousness of Krishna. So some people, you know, may say that, you know, Krishna, you know, he was a rascal, you know, because he was engaged in dancing with the wives of other men in the dead of the night. You know, we call that God. Like, come on. You know, how can we worship such a God? Right? But they do not understand the higher principle. And the higher principle is that Krishna, we all belong to Krishna, right? Because we are all spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, the Super Soul. And so, as part and parcels of the Supreme Soul, we are meant to become closer to the Supreme Lord. And these gopis, they are on the highest level of prema, in that they, you know, they would forsake everything for the pleasure of Krishna. And so isn't Krishna in their hearts as well? And if he comes out of their heart and dances with them, you know, this is called Rasa Leela, but we won't go there because it's very high subject matter. But, you know, but Krishna, it's his own energy. We are all part and parcels of Krishna. So these gopis are also part and parcel of Krishna. Right? So they belong to Krishna. They do not belong to their so-called husbands and so-called families. They belong to Krishna. We all belong to Krishna. So if Krishna wants to enjoy with his energy that belongs to him, you know, can you blame him? It's like if something belongs to you and somebody comes and steals it, that belongs to you. But if you take your own thing, you know, whatever it may be, and use it, right? Can anyone blame you for stealing? No. So similarly, Krishna, we all belong to Krishna, and the gopis belong to Krishna. They are his, right? So therefore, he is enjoying his own energies. So the next example I wanted to give was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We'll just read something from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let's see if we can get there. Okay, there's it. So we'll see how Lord Chaitanya was on this highest stage of prema, and here in this pastime, he was living at the Gambhira temple, right? And he would leave the temple and in the middle of the night, and he would wander, you know, and sometimes he would see the sea, right? And he would think it to be the Yamuna, and his intense feeling of separation from the gopis would come, because he's intense separation of Krishna, because he's in the mood of Radharani, and the intense separation of Krishna would come, and he would run into the Yamuna, you know, and like this. So his servants, Swarup Damodar, actually confined him to the Gambhira and told his servant Govinda to lay down, you know, by the door so that Mahaprabhu don't go out. So we'll just read from there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lamented in this way. Half the night passed, then Swarup Damodar made the Lord lie down in the room known as the Gambhira. After the Lord was made to lie down, Ramananda Rai returned home, and Swarup Damodar and Govinda lay down at the door of the Gambhira. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed awake all night chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, his mind overwhelmed by spiritual ecstasy. Feeling separation from Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so distraught that in great anxiety he stood up and began rubbing his face against the walls of the Gambhira. Now, can you imagine? That in this stage he was so overwhelmed with the Krishna prem that he wanted to go out and express himself and like this, but there was a blockage where Govinda and Ramananda Rai lay at the entrance, and then he could not go out, and then he started to rub his face on the wall, and let's see what happens next. Blood oozed from the many injuries on his mouth, nose, and cheeks, but due to his ecstatic emotions, the Lord did not know it. In ecstasy, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rubbed his face against the wall all night long, making a particular sound, gun, gun, which Swarup Damodar could hear through the door. Lighting a lamp, Swarup Damodar and Govinda entered the room. When they saw the Lord's face, they were filled with sorrow. They brought the Lord to his bed, called him, and then asked, "Why have you done this to yourself?" Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "I was in such anxiety that I could not stay in the room. I wanted to go out, and therefore I wandered about the room looking for the door. Unable to find the door, I kept hitting the four walls with my face. My face was injured and it bled, but I still could not get out." In this state of madness, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mind was unsteady. Whatever he said or did was all symptomatic of madness. This is spiritual madness, when you are filled with ecstatic love, and then this is what happens. Right? Swarup Damodar was very anxious, but then he had an idea. The following day, he and the other devotees considered it. After consulting with one another, they entreated Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to allow Sankara Pandit to lie down in the same room with him. Thus Sankara Pandit lay at the feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the Lord placed his legs upon Shankara's body. Sankara became celebrated by the name Prabho Pado Padana, the pillow of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was like Vidura, and Sukadev Goswami previously described him. When submissive Vidura, the resting place of the legs of Lord Chaitanya, had thus spoken to Maitreya, Maitreya began speaking, his hair standing on end, due to the transcendental pleasure of discussing topics concerning Lord Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop there. I just wanted to give you an idea of this love of Krishna, right? The Krishna prema. So, although this is a very elevated topic, and we normally don't speak on these topic matters, but because I had this verse of the greatest Vaishnava, so I thought, let me just bring it out. So, if you have any contribution to make or questions, you may ask now. Hare Krishna, yes, Mataji. Okay. Mm-hmm. Can we get the mic? Maybe you can speak in the mic. So you need to say that again. So now Ganga Mata Goswamini will share her realizations and what she has heard from Guru Maharaj.
My Guru Maharaj explained that Bharat Maharaj was on the level of Bhav, and when you're on the level of Bhav, there is 2% chance for sense gratification. So what to speak of us who are way below there, that stage. But for us, it's so important to take shelter in sadhu sangha, because another reason I was hearing he fell down, Bharat Maharaj fell down, was because he left the association of the devotees and he thought he could just go and meditate on his own. The sadhu sangha, it's the building block from which all of the other stages come until Krishna Prem. We always have to take shelter of that, even at the level of bhav, especially us in the beginning. If we're not properly hearing and chanting, associating, then we will fall down. If we stop chanting, we will fall back to where we were before we were chanting. Or if we don't chant attentively, if we're not associating properly with the holy name of the Lord, then we commit all of the other offenses, because inattentive chanting is the mother of the other offenses. And then if we don't read Prabhupada's books, we will also fall down. So associating with Srila Prabhupada's disciples, associating with the devotees who are dear to Srimati Radharani is so important for us. And those who are most dear are the ones who are sharing Krishna consciousness. So we have to take shelter in such devotees, the Sankirtan devotees. Sankirtan is the Yuga Dharma, hearing and chanting in association with the devotees of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for that, Ganga Mata. Yes. So we should be in the association of devotees and try to take their association. Or if we are not living at the temple, we could come to the temple once a week on a Sunday and get the association of devotees, hear from the speaker. And actually every day we have the Srimad Bhagavatam class, so you can always come at this time and take association of whoever's giving class. So thank you very much for that, Ganga Mata Goswamini. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your wonderful class.
Hare Krishna. Anything else from anyone? So we'll stop there. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasindabhyavacha Patitanam pavinabhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.